This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented to you by Circus Sports. Circus Sports is back with their Circus Survivor and Circus Millions contest, $14 million up for grabs. Go get all the details over at circusports.com. All right, D-Gens, welcome back. It's the Open Betting Show with your boy Boston Capper and very special guest, Pamela Maldonado from Yahoo Sportsbooks. Pamela, how are you?
Hot. It's 120 degrees in Austin. We're literally melting as we speak.
It's a dry heat in Texas, though, right? So it makes it okay.
It's still hot. Do you want to be outside? Before we started recording, You're like, why were you outside? Because you kind of have to do
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like Florida. I mean, when it's like 98 and like 99% humidity, it's like you got to go outside for short bursts. Like it's miserable, like breathing through a cheesecloth. But yeah, so it's really hot there. I was reading it's like hot everywhere. It's like record temperatures, like in France and Italy. It's like ruining Europe. So pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if that has any effect on the Open. Maybe you can get us some fucking wind and some bad weather, like instead of just have a nice docile Open, which I always hate. I want to see the carnage. I want to see the winds. I want to see the course's defenses. So,
well,
so I guess what do you look?
The weather actually looks really good. The wind doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue for at least 3 days. We don't know if the projected forecast for Sunday is going to hold up, but Thursday, Friday, and Saturday looks pretty steady. And I'm kind of disappointed with that because, like you, I want the carnage. What we have seen all season long in the PGA is an absolute birdie fest, 20 under, 27 under. I mean, can we please have like an actual tournament?
I know, and this course is gonna. I mean, look, these courses are set up where the wind is really the fucking only defense. So we'll see. Exactly. I mean, the course looks fun. I mean, the whole they've made some changes, tried to make it harder, but the RNA doesn't do what the PGA does. Like they're not going to mess with the course. The course is going to play how it's going to play, and that's why I was going to ask. So they one of my books has all these bets like for all the scores at like 70.5 with the juice to the over. I don't understand.
Do they know something that we don't?
That's why I'm scared. I was like,
Rory McIlroy shot 15 under back in 2014. How much more difficult could they have made the course from then until now? And as you mentioned,
so it's just round one scores, right? But I mean, that's crazy. The only two that have 69.5
no wind on Thursday, and there is going to be rain has made the greens a little bit more susceptible, soft. Yeah. So, which makes it easier because instead of having those roll-offs, if you look at the greens, they're very undulated. They're small, tiny ass greens, and they just like slope drop off. So if there was no rain, what could happen is you hit your shot. Oh man, that looks really good. Get some backspin, and it's gonna roll off for miles. But now because there's rain, now the greens are gonna hold the ball, and you're not gonna see that as much. Or you shouldn't see that at all. So it's actually going to make it, if you hit pin high, you're probably going to stay pin high and gives you more opportunity for birdie chances. Yeah, I'm confused with that score.
Me too. Me too. I was like, so I texted Steve because he's off with the baby, but I still texted him like, yeah, what am I missing here? I was like, every single one is 70.5. It's like if they made this a par 71, all my guys got to do is shoot 1 under in round 1. And it's juice to the over. I was like, is the wind did the wind change in the last 2 hours that I didn't see? So I'm definitely monitoring that. I'm hoping it might just be a mistake. I've caught this local with a huge mistake before, and he paid out. So
it could just be that. It could just be a mistake.
Exactly. So I hope that's the case. That would be nice. Get some hopefully some sweat-free money on Thursday. That would be fun. All right. So did you make your bets like you normally do, or are you waiting for the weather?
I've made so early into the week because the Scottish Open is because it's not the Scottish Open, because they're in Scotland and there's that time change. I got my bets in earlier than I typically do. Okay. I did still have my long list, but what's been working for me, I've hit 2 outrights in the last 3 weeks. Yep. It's my 5th that I've hit this year. Because I went on another stretch.
Yeah.
I went on another stretch early in the year around March where I hit 3 in a 5-week period. Yep. So but what I've been doing with my strategy, I haven't changed anything, but I've just been more precise. So I typically have my long list of players, like 6, 7 players, and I'm like, okay, I want to bet 3 or 4. I'm only betting one. 3 weeks ago, I said I'm betting Ricky Fowler, Ricky Fowler got it done. Last week I said I'm betting Rory. Rory got it done. And this week I'm doing the same thing. I got one player on my outright list that I'm just like, you kind of just have to go with it. And if it works out, cool. And if it doesn't, I still have confidence that this player is going to finish in the top 10, even in the top 5. Are we talking outrights already?
Yeah, I mean, fucking, we're already here. You might as well. You said you got one.
And I'm going with Scotty Scheffler. I mean,
all right.
This is not a strong field, in my opinion. It's not like the strongest that we've seen out of everything. But I mean, if you're talking about what if you look at the aerial view, so what we know about this course, right? You have to go back to what we know about this course.
Yep.
We don't know much because we haven't played at this course since 2014. Right. So looking at the pure aerial views, it's very thin fairways. You got these like pot bunkers and pot bunkers just means that they're deep as heck. And so if you hit in there, good luck because you're hitting above your head and it's just weird and you can't see anything. It's blind. So if you end up hitting in those, great. So there's 2 ways that you can avoid by these fairways. You're either going to like hit precise right down the middle in these like 20-yard wide fairways, or you're going to like absolutely bomb it over these bunkers where it doesn't come into play. Well, Scotty Scheffler is kind of like the perfect player right now. If you're talking about who is absolutely great off the tee, yes, you can always first and foremost consider Rory McIlroy, who off the tee is 4th in the field. But then you gotta look at Scotty Scheffler, who is first from tee to green in absolutely nearly every category on tour right now.
It's historic. This run that he's on with like the strokes gain metrics and like all like it's insane. Like it's I don't even know like how to describe it. And the fact that he hasn't gotten a win during the stretch is insane. It's insane.
Exactly. I don't think that people are talking enough about, and the reason why you have somebody like Ricky Fowler who gets a lot of attention is because, right, he's the cool kid. He's like a handsome fella. He's like stylish, new baby. He's very like a little bit more like flamboyant. You know what I mean? And he's just like a natural star. But if you look at Scotty, what about him says like he's number one at anything?
Nothing.
Like he's such a typical like homegrown Southern boy. Like eats macaroni on the weekends, pops open a beer. Like there's just like nothing about him that shouts star power. So what he's doing is absolutely unprecedented in the history of golf. Only one player has been stronger than Tiger Woods. I mean, then Scotty Scheffler, and it's Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
You're like comparing the best player now compared to the best player of all time. That's Scotty. He's number 1 off the tee. He's number 1 off in strokes gained total. He's number 1 in approach. Like he's literally number 1 in every single category. And like you said, he hasn't won.
It's
I mean, he has won twice this season, but
but during this ridiculous stretch,
he should be winning every tournament.
He's made like, I think he's made without the wins, he's made like, I think it was like 16 million. I think I saw just during this stretch with no wins, he still made like 16 million because he's a top 3, top 5 machine. It's ridiculous.
I mean, just think of this absolute run. Scheffler has played 16 total tournaments in 2023. 16. In all 16, he has placed 12th place or better. 7 of those 16 have been top 5s. It's just absolutely remarkable, but he fits the skill set. I'm talking about looking at the aerial view of this course. You have to hit in those little narrow landing spots, and you have to be really good around the green. We're talking about like the rain is going to make it a little, it's going to grab onto the ball a little bit more. At some point, it's going to dry up. It's not raining every day. There's no rain in the forecast. There's no wind in the forecast. So if you give me a player that is absolutely great off the tee in both accuracy and distance. It's beneficial if you're both. I will always take accuracy over distance, in my opinion. You give me a player like that who is absolutely stellar around the green. He is second around the green. And yes, it's his putting that is absolutely wonky, but other than like that is the most volatile part of any player's game. It's gonna happen. If he's like, just name a player. If you look at this is like the stat that absolutely blows my mind. And people are just like aren't gonna make sense of it. Scotty Scheffler in one tournament, lost like 10 strokes putting, and he still took like third.
Yeah, because he gained
any other player would have missed the cut and finished bottom 5.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy what he's doing. And I mean, look at I mean, even when he won at the Players, I think he was still like slightly negative with the putting, but if he just has a net neutral day, his iron play and his around the green, like he chips in what, like at least twice a tournament. Like I feel like at least twice a goddamn tournament
Twice,
he
yeah.
chips in. Scotty's the one who I'm afraid of. We had a discussion about him on like DFS. I think Cameron's going to bet him. I'm pretty sure Matt's going to bet him. And I can't 7, 8 to 1, like whatever. Like, especially if you're going to single bullet it. The fact that he has not won is absolutely absurd. So I don't hate it. And you know me, I usually hate the short bets, but I mean, if you're going to take between him and Rory, I don't see Rory going back to back, the pressure of the Open, that type of thing. Plus, you know, I don't really like him. So, yeah, Scotty, hey man, yeah, Scotty's a stud. The fact that he hasn't won is insane. So I like playing. He's got to win it.
But what I'm doing is Scotty Scheffler. I'm not just taking him as only as an outright. You know that I like to do my top 20 market. So I'm actually playing Scotty Scheffler as the ladder. And I don't do this where I'm taking a player to finish in the top 10 and in the top 5 and as an outright, because there's a chance that he may not be well with his putter again and finish solo second or finish T3 or whatnot. But I trust him for a top 10 and it's only minus 120 odds. Hell yeah, I'm taking that every single time because there's only 2 players on tour that I absolutely trust week after week to finish in the top 10. Scheffler is one of those 2 players. Now you're telling me that he has how many consecutive top 5 finishes and you're getting plus 175 for a top 5? I'm a fire on that as well. And then 7.5 to 1. Yeah, those odds aren't great, but there's ways to combat that. And we always talk about first round leader. Take him as a first round leader. If that doesn't hit, you still have the plus money for him to win as an outright, or you can potentially get better odds after round 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first round leader. I like the ladder play, especially when you're doing like a set like anybody under 10 to 1. I think you should ladder it, right? That way you're at least protecting what you think is at least you're gonna cash some placements. At least what you would think, right? With somebody that's that heavy of a favorite. And it's gonna be man, I can see these guys tearing this place apart if we get no win. So it should be interesting. Before I jump into my outrights, Circa Millions and Circa Survivors backs $14 million up for grabs. The Millions is 5 NFL picks against the spread each week. Circa Survivors just pick one money line winner each week, and you can't use it again. You have to enter in Vegas, but you can play from anywhere. Sports Gambling Podcast will be out there the last weekend of August. Circasports.com for all the details. Circasports.com. All right, so I got a bunch of losers. That's what I'm betting. So I was hoping you were going to convince me of somebody in like the 20s or the 30s, but now that you
I have a list of players, and I'll probably end up talking about them in the top 20s and the top 10s.
Okay. All right.
But like I said, every week I've been, you know what? Why am I going to fire on 5-10 people? Like, I'm not that type of better. So I'm just going to risk it on the one. And unfortunately, twice out of the last 3 weeks, it's worked out.
Yeah. And look, I like your odds of hitting better than these bums because I took some bombs, right? So I took Siwoo Kim at 200 to 1 because it's ridiculous that he was 200 to 1.
Is it though?
Throw $15 on it. Yeah, it absolutely is ridiculous. He wins on the PGA Tour. He's actually improved around the green a lot. And he's been a lot steadier than normal. And whatever, it's 200 to 1. This guy won at TPC Sawgrass, which a lot of people are using as a comp course for this. He plays well at Augusta. I know the greens aren't the same, but I just thought the pricing was absolutely egregious on Siwoo, and he's one of my guys. I don't think he's actually gonna win, but at 200 to 1, I mean, crazier shit has happened. It is golf. So, and then I took my boy Keegs. I thought that was also insulting. 125 to 1. He's long and straight. His aim putting is
Keegan Bradley.
Really, Keegan Bradley. Yeah, he's long and straight. Great iron player, like top notch iron player. His aim putting is. Yeah, good around the green. His aim putting is super annoying to fucking watch, even as my guy. But his putter has turned around. I mean, he just won Travelers, an elevated event. His Open history kind of stinks, but whatever. It's 125 to 1. So those are my 2 long shots. And then for whatever reason, I never bet. I didn't bet this guy when he was on the tour, but for some reason Bryson jumped out to me. I don't know if it was the number at 65 to 1. It's going to be a flat golf course. What always gets him in trouble is when he doesn't have a flat lie. He's an amazing putter. He's lost all that bulk. Yeah, Bryson. Yeah. And so he's an amazing putter. It does worry me around the green. Is he imaginative enough? His short game is not the best, but he is an excellent putter. When I saw him up at Oak Hill in person, he was striping the ball. We know if he does club down, with his driving iron and his 3-wood, he's super accurate, and he's still super long. He's still going to hit his 2-iron. If he takes his 2-iron out, he's going to hit it 300 yards. So at 65-1. I mean, the problem is with live guys, like I don't really watch it. I rely on other people to tell me how it's going. And he's been middling, I guess, but he's trending in the right direction in the majors this year anyway. And he's 65-1. And then I took the 2 shorter guys that I took. So Steve does this game where it's trends and eliminations. And 10 of the 10 past winners did this, 9 of the 10 did this, and like we check all the boxes, right? So the winner of the contest was Ricky Fowler. And so I'm betting him, but just because I think the last time, it wasn't the Open, I don't remember what major it was, but we had him and we didn't bet him because we didn't like the number. And so we were so now we just bet it every year, every major, regardless, or whatever the system tells us to bet, we bet it. But Ricky has a really good Open history, plays links golf well, kind of faded a little bit on Sunday over at the Scottish, but it's nothing like this golf course, right? It's completely different. So I'm not worried about that. He's been, for obviously Scotty's playing a lot better, but for Ricky to be playing as well as it is, it's more shocking than Scotty, who was the number 1 player in the world last year, to be playing still really,
you don't
really
have
good.
to convince me. If to anybody who's been listening to me and following me, I've been tooting his horn for months and months since pre-Valero Texas Open, and I knew that a win was coming. I even announced it. I said, "A win is coming," and I was laughed at and I was shamed at, and I was like, "What are you doing? He hasn't won in years." Remember, everybody is a loser until you're not.
That's right. That's right.
Even at one point, Tim Duncan started with 0 wins, and then you start winning. Like the legends of the game, they just find a way. And we'll see what happens, but you don't have to convince me on Ricky Fowler. I am probably one of his biggest betting fans because if you
I think you
betting Fowler in the top 20 market since January, you have made bank. So who cares if you're not winning him, if you're not winning money off of him in the outright market? You are doing it wrong if you're not betting him in the top 20 market.
Yeah. So I love that. And so like I liked Ricky this week anyways, like for as far as somebody who's like number kind of jumped out to me. And then I'm taking Brooks. Same thing, right? He gets this weird narrative that like he played the Challenge Tour, played the Euro Tour, so he has all this links experience. His Opens are fine. I just worry about Steve. Steve has me spooked that I don't remember exactly how it plays out, but if he doesn't play the week before a major, his results are middling at best. And he didn't play obviously this week because there was no live event. There was one last week in London.
Right.
But I mean, Brooks is, in majors, right? We saw it at Oak Hill. We saw it at the Masters. I don't see why he can't do it here. He's long and straight. He can putt. He's good around the green. The only thing I worry about is the RNA definitely trolled him by sticking him with Cantlay and Hideki, 2 of the slower players on tour.
And I was just going to say
that shit.
He did an interview as to why he did so poorly at T17 at the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
And it's because the people in front of us were so slow.
Yeah.
It was Patrick Cantlay playing in front of him.
What's funny about
him.
Yeah, what's funny about Brooks is he runs this like alpha shit, right? But then then the next minute he's making an excuse on why, right? He always has a reason on why, which is, I don't know. I was there. I'm not a big Bryce. I'm not a big Brooks guy either, right? That's Steve's territory. But I like the number. I thought it was probably the most fair number on the board. The guy already won a major this year. It's 20-1. So yeah, I'm going with Brooks, long and straight. We'll see. I'm terrified of Scotty. Like, I wish I had the discipline to just single bullet it. The only person I ever do that on is Rom, and that's usually because I'm being stubborn about something.
Well, Rom's been struggling around the green, which is why I left him off my mark, because he has one pretty big flaw to his resume this season, and it's around the green. And if you look at these, I don't know, that's just how I look at golf. Is I just look at the aerial views and I think of what scenario is going to come to fruition more often. And for me, it's straight off the tee and it is straight around the green. Iron play maybe looks a little bit less important to me. It's going to be, are you going to keep it in the fairway, and are you going to give yourself, are you going to be able to get up and down, because these slopes should come into play. And yeah, so I'm probably weighing around the green maybe heavier than most, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this week is we kind of really don't know.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. Like everybody's talking about like the accuracy is more important than distance this week because
Right.
of this or that. But I mean, who knows? Like these guys might go out and take driver. And like if they can hit the ball fucking 320 and straight and not be in trouble, they're gonna do it. They're not gonna club down just for the sake of clubbing down because Tiger did it when he won 15 years ago, you know. So
Yeah.
um yeah, I looked long and hard at that ROM number just because it was like 14. I was like, man, when was the last time I saw a ROM at 14? But I couldn't pull the trigger just because
That's
I
true.
think there is something to that Masters hangover. He hasn't really been playing well since the Masters. Like he says, around the green game, suspect. You know, he can putt it. He can putt it here. Versus chipping it, right? He can roll it up. But yeah,
Last tournament he played, he missed the cut.
yeah, it's just too many bad tastes in my mouth when I was looking at it. But that 14 number was definitely grabbed my attention for at least for I don't know, half hour. So all right. Well, before we break down who else is on your card, I'm gonna tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. Underdog Pick'em is also a great way to get down your favorite MLB and NFL season player props. So many ways to win over on Underdog, and Underdog is available in so many states. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right, who else you got on the card? What do you want to do? You want to do? I know you love matchups. You want to do place?
Let's look at top 30. Well, let's go ahead and jump straight to top 20 because so top 30.
All right.
I mean, let's go to top 30 because there is one player that I already posted and it was Minwoo Lee. He's a 24-year-old Australian player, and there's every week in the PGA, there's just new players that I've just never heard of or I become more familiar with because they're starting to make noise. And Minwoo Lee is secretly one of those players that is making noise. 15th in strokes gained off the tee, 4th best in the field around the green with players with rounds who have had at least 32 rounds or more. Minwoo Lee has gained off the tee in 6 straight tournaments, and he's gained in his short game in 3 out of 5. Earlier you were talking about the comp courses. I'm using Oak Hill as kind of a bit of a similarity only because it's both narrow fairways. You've got slim landing spots, the same similar deep walled bunkers, and tiny ass greens. So, I mean, I'm not sure how much of a comparison exactly is, but I know if I'm looking for a precise player off the tee and somebody who's good around the green, Oak Hill for me kind of fits that. And he took T18 at the PGA Championship, but more impressive, he followed that up with the T5 in the US Open. So that was back-to-back top 20 finishes in majors. And you're getting plus 140 for a top 30 in a field that's probably a little bit softer. He did play the Scottish Open. He took T35, so that's a bit worrisome because what he is struggling with, he does not gain with his iron shots. So that he is a losing player with his irons, but he more than makes up for it with his short game. So he's fairly new to the PGA. This is probably a player that you're less familiar with, as I was, because he just earned a special temporary membership on tour in May because of how well he's been doing in these major tournaments. But he finished T6 at the Players Championship. He lost 6 strokes with his irons. And he gained 9 from his short game. So, yes, like expect him to do bad with his irons, but he's going to make up for it. So I think you're getting mega value for a top 30. If you even want to be ballsy, get 2-1 for a top 20.
Yeah, I like that. So I like Min was going to be super popular in DFS. And so I think the strokes lost with his irons probably a little deceiving because he put it in the drink twice on a single hole on the Sunday. And so I'm pretty sure that probably added like 4 strokes right there. So he's not a great iron player, but he's not like horrific, right? He's not typically losing that many strokes because TPC Sawgrass will jump up and grab you. Like you miss it, you're in the water, you're fucking dead. And he put it in the water twice, which was rather funny. But yeah, I like Minwoo a lot. He's on my year-long fantasy team. So yeah, I scooped him off of waivers a while ago. So yeah, I definitely like getting plus money on him. Who else you got for top 20s?
That was him for a top 30. I do also I'm in full agreement with you on Ricky Fowler for a top 20, only because I've been talking about it. If you're not betting him in the top 20 market, then you're doing it wrong. I've been very fortunate that I have bet him nearly every tournament this year in the top 20 market. So if for whatever reason it doesn't work out this week, he's more than made up for it in previous weeks. So if you're just now hopping on the Ricky Fowler train, it's probably not as the smart time to do it. But my
Nope.
only, yes, you were talking about earlier how my worry is that he did miss the cut at the PGA Championship. That's his one missed cut of the season, but there's a couple of things that he did well in that. I just talked about the similarities with the PGA Championship compared to this tournament. Narrow fairways, slim landing spots, deep bunkers, small greens. Missed the cut. Okay, so why am I going to take him here? Because I'm fairly optimistic that Ricky Fowler still has progressed since that tournament.
Oh yeah.
Not only was that his best driving performance, but that was also his worst putting performance. But even still, he took T42 last week at the Scottish Open. He was in contention through 3 rounds. He shot a 74 on Sunday. That was his worst iron play that he's had since the PGA Championship. And it was his first time losing strokes around the green since March. So he could absolutely rebound here in the spot. My worry as to why I'm not betting him as an outright or like anything better than maybe like a top 30 is because it's kind of starting to show some inconsistency. It's a light inconsistency, but I think he's now becoming more volatile of a player since winning the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And that's just something that I don't want to like wager on. So simply out of principle, you take him in the top 30, top 20 market.
Yeah, I definitely love that. And so Ricky missed the cut on the number at the PGA too. He had a really bad Thursday and grinded his ass off on Friday. So I love when golfers do that. Like the guys who they at least show up on Friday and you can tell they either grind and make the cut and then have a good weekend, or at least make the attempt. They don't just like full eject and shoot another +4 and peace out on the tournament. So yeah, I love Ricky for a top 20. I got Ricky as a top 20 as well. I got some more longer shots for a top 20. I have one that I think you'll like. I'm pretty sure that I don't know. These things always scare me. They seem like fucking suckers bets, but it's major, so I'll jump in like a square. So Rory and Scotty, both top 20. It's -115.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know how this loses. I don't understand. I don't know how this loses. I don't know.
How does that not hit?
Yeah, I don't know. But these things terrify me, and it's because I'm so superstitious and I've been burned by bets that look like locks before.
I mean, look, I'm talking about Scheffler. I'm talking about Scheffler here being like the best in the field for a lot of things, but at some point, when does the regression catch up to him? That's really the only thing that could happen. Is he has been playing lights out with his ball striking. Is there ever a time where we see that fail him? That's really the only worry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So but those things always spook me. But yeah, so that I'd like that one, and I got a couple long shots. What do you think about Griot at 6-1 for a top 20? I love those long shot top 20s. Those are fun because usually what'll happen, at least in my experience, when you have anywhere between like a 6 and a 12-1 in a top 20, they'll be hanging around, teasing you, flirting you all the way through. And then Sunday they have an awful round and they go to like T23 or completely eject and go to like 44.
I mean, he loses strokes around the green. So I'm not, I could not put a player on my card who does not do well, or at least is neutral around the green. And he's not one of those players. So
yeah.
Not for me,
I get it.
But we know that you like those laundry lists of.
I do. And he's actually pretty straight off the tee, decently long. He played
2 missed cuts in his last 4.
Yep, but a win in his last 5 and a top 20 at the Travelers, which is an elevated event. So, yes. Oh, yes, it's Griot. Yes. I mean, he used to not be able to putt worth a shit, and now he can putt, which is weird. It's still weird to me that he can actually putt now.
You fix one part of your game, another part of it goes.
Exactly what happened. My buddy texted me the other day. He's like, dude, I just had the best round of my driver of my life. And I said, what part of your game went away? That was my response back.
Exactly. Nobody knows how to do 4 great of anything.
Yeah, exactly. And I took Siwoo at 4-1 because I think he's still kind of a roller coaster. But if you look, I like the comp courses that people who understand golf courses much better than me, like Steve and Andy and those guys, like all and who Bamford guy. Yeah, I mean, he's volatile still, but 4th at the Memorial, 29th at the Schwab, has won TPC, plays well at Augusta, and it's 4-1 for Siwoo. He's a dude who I root for because any golfer that has broken a club and at Augusta then had to putt with a 3-wood is my type of guy. So yeah, I like him at 4-1, and these are the fun ones for me. And if one of those hits, it's fucking gravy. It's not like I'm betting it as heavy as I'm betting Brooks at -1. I get -130, 23rd or better, which is the same price for his top 23 or better, which is another sucker bet, which means this terrifies me when these sucker bets come on the guys that I'm on for like outright.
And the price looks too fair.
Yeah, I know. Well, exactly. When it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
He is one of the better short game players on tour. Like granted, we've only seen him in 3 tournaments this season, but I mean his short game, he has gained 4, 9, and 5 strokes at the Masters PGA Championship and US Open. So he's one of the best short game players, and he's one of the best ball strikers on tour. Clearly, he's back to full health, is what we've seen from 2022 season prior to leaving for the tour
he doesn't 3-putt. Like he doesn't 3-putt much. Like he's a guy who'll 2-putt to death.
He's clutch. He's so clutch. You can always rely on him. Oh, if he needs to birdie to get into the playoffs, he's gonna make that putt. That's one of the best things about backing Brooks is in any type of market.
Yeah, exactly. What else you got? You got anything else top 20?
Let me take a look. There was a couple players on my long list. So for another top 30, Brian Harman is somebody that I backed last week for the Scottish Open, and he gave me a little sweat there. Brian Harman for top 30 is plus 150. For a top 20, you're getting plus 275, and to win, it's a mega 125 to 1. Harman was too short of the lead after round 3, and I was like, you know what? And he was the only player that I took aside from Rory. So if I'm picking Rory and a guy who's too short of Rory, and last week he was 100 to 1, and now he's 125 to 1. Like I'm doing something right. So I just believe that he has the ability right now. He's not a bomber off the tee, but he is accurate. You know that he's kind of one of those old man players they don't hit far, but they hit straight. That's exactly Brian Harman, and he shot a 74 on round 4, just like Roy. Who am I saying? Just like Ricky Fowler. So he lost 2.5 strokes from tee to green. That's a bit worrisome. He had 4 bogeys on round 4, but other than that, like
it was so windy though.
It was really windy, and that I took that into account. It was his first tournament that he lost strokes on his irons, and his since missing the cut at the Memorial, but he's done well at the PGA. I mean, it's a bit of a long shot.
He shows up where you don't think he's going to show up because he's super short, but he plays well
at
the U.S. Opens and long courses for whatever
But he's also clutch putter. You know that you're always going to rely on. You know that he's always going to be a better short game player than he is with anything else. So if he can show up with his iron play, if he can just keep it in the fairway and keep to his irons like he always typically does, he's one of the best short game players right now. Especially in the last 32 rounds, he has plenty of Open Championship experience. He's been playing since 2014. So I think a top 30 for him at plus 150 makes sense.
Yeah, I know people who have the outright on him, so yeah, it's not crazy.
Yeah.
Who else you got on the long list there?
I mean, all of these are just like talking points because really the only guy that I bet is Scotty Scheffler. But Cam Young was interesting to me. He was on my on my long list before I eliminated him, but he took solo second at this tournament last year. But what people are going to see is that, he took second at the Open last year. Let's not forget, it was a different course. And that is a very different layout. That was wide open fairways. You can really just bomb it off the tee with no regard to where you're going. This course is not that. And Cam Young may get all the credit for the driving distance. He's top 5 in the field for that regard, but he's outside the top 50 for driving accuracy. And we're talking about maybe this is in a difficult course. It's not very thick rough, but if you see the out of bounds areas, they're right there. So you don't have a lot of wiggle room for some of those in play OB shots. So I mean, yes, he's a bomber off the tee and you're getting good value for him. But I mean, I'm just not looking at the course. He took his last tournament that he finished was a T6 at the John Deere, good off the tee, typically good around the green or at least neutral. But I think this is just a different type of course setup. He missed the cut at the PGA Championship, which I'm using as a comp course. And so that's kind of all I'm going with. And he hasn't really done well in majors this year. He took T51 at the Players, which is a big time tournament. He did do T7 at the Masters, but then he missed the cut at the PGA Championship and T32 at the US Open. So I know that a lot of people are going to like him because of his off the tee game. And if we're talking about off the tee being important, but there's just not enough for me to want to back him.
Yeah, he's fallen out of favor with the golf gambling community. What's funny is Paul Tesori on his bag when Webb let him go, and everybody thought it was gonna improve, right? And then I think it was either first or second tournament, he went out and shot like a 27 on the front nine. Everybody's like, "Oh shit!" And then, but since then, he hasn't. I mean, everybody was calling for a win for Cam Young this year. Like, hey, when is he gonna get it? When is he gonna get it? And he's regressed. He's regressed.
Yeah, I agree
a little bit. Yeah. You got any like weird exotic bets?
How about
I know. So you got Scotty first round leader. I know that, right?
How about the head-to-head market? Oh, well, actually, Terrell Hatton, he was also somebody that I had that I had on my long list.
Yeah.
That I decided to eliminate. Hatton for me has been similar to Ricky Fowler in that if I've been betting him in the top 20 market, more often than not, he comes in clutch. But his odds here, paying juice for it, -110 for a top 20 finish. He took T6 at the Scottish Open, gained strokes in absolutely every single category. So as of right now, I have not bet him. However, I'm going to find a way to wager on him, probably in the head-to-head market. I don't like his top 20 odds, and I don't trust him for a top 10 finish, but he does have plenty of good results this year. I mean, he's
had a great year.
He's had a great year. T15 at the PGA Championship, followed that up with the T12 at the Memorial. He has 2 top 5 finishes in his last 3 tournaments. T3 at RBC Canada, T6 last week at the Scottish Open. Great off the tee, great ball stroke, good solid iron play. His putting always top notch. He has gained strokes putting in like 7 straight tournaments, and it's around the green game that has a little bit of struggle. But from tee to green, he's a top 5 player. Like, so why would you not consider him in some fashion? I just haven't decided which way I want to bet him.
Yeah, I can't remember who he was matched up against. What I had access to this afternoon, I didn't like it. They're really pissed. These books are getting so irritating with the matchups. I'm like, why would you, like, they're too close? I'm like, I hate this. I'm like, it's like I don't want. I like both of these guys. I'm not gonna bet them. Like, you can talk yourself in and out of either position. It's fucking
right.
It's maddening. So who do you got for your matchup? Because are you still on your ridiculous streak?
No, actually, because it's kind of weird how golf has been working out. Like, once I had this ridiculous streak of, okay, I can't miss in the head-to-head market. I'm cashing top 20s, but none of my outrights have been hitting. Now my outrights are hitting and my head-to-heads are losing.
I'll take outrights all day.
Honestly, I will too, especially when I'm picking 2 players to win and one of them does. Like,
exactly.
Or picking one player to win and he does. Yeah. Well, there is one matchup that I'm looking at. Haven't solidified it yet. I usually do those Wednesday morning, but I'm gonna stick with Minwoo Lee. How I like to do my head-to-head matchups are the players that I think are going to contend either in the top 30, top 20 market. I tend to look for them in the head-to-head market as well. And Minwoo Lee for me over +115, an underdog over Tony Finau. I just really like where Minwoo Lee's game is right now. He's great off the tee. I'm holding less importance to that iron play and looking at the solid around the green game. Tony Finau is kind of has kind of dropped off this season. He was doing really, really well there, but as of late, I look at really recently in the last 32 rounds, and Tony Finau's going through it right now. He missed his last miss. He last played in early July, missed the cut at the Rocket Mortgage. It was his second missed cut in his last 4 tournaments, missed the cut at the Charles Schwab. Ever since winning the Mexico Open, he's kind of haven't done anything since. He's losing strokes off the tee. He's losing strokes with his irons. He's losing strokes like hemorrhaging with his putter. Like, yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Minwoo Lee is an underdog in this spot. But it's purely based off of maybe world ranking. It's an amateur against Tony Finau who has a couple tour wins.
Value. Yeah, that's it. It's just name value. That's all. And it's nice to be able to capitalize on the book just throwing out, because it's a name, they'll make it the favorite. They know they're going to get money on it because casuals come in on majors. They're going to see Tony Finau. They're not going to know who the hell Minwoo Lee is, and they're going to bet it blindly.
He just got his amateur card compared to Tony Finau, who has a couple of tour wins. So I think that's the reason why you're getting the underdog value. But if you look at super recent form, Finau ain't it.
I like that one. The only one I found was, and this is early. I gotta have more, but I got Ricky over a Fleetwood. All the reasons we talked about Ricky. The juice is even on both sides, -110. I think Tommy even if he's in contention on Sunday, he's gonna melt like he always does. Unless he is like so far out of the tournament that he'll shoot like a Sunday 62 to like backdoor something. So I'd rather him be in contention or miss the cut completely. The hometown narrative, how much pressure is gonna be on him. He grew up like right down the street, So yeah. I mean, after he didn't win the Canadian Open and then his performance at the Scottish, like I'm good with Fleetwood. He's going to be chalk in DFS. That's never good. So I'm taking Ricky over Tommy.
Yeah, I don't dislike that. I think Fleetwood is he's just one of those players that when I bet on him, he doesn't do well. When I bet against him, he does. So it's just like I can't figure him out. He has too much inconsistency. So because of the consistency from Fowler, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I'm with it. I like that. So, you got any other head-to-heads you like, or is just
so far that's it. So how about let's just jump straight into the first round leaders, which is
all right, who you got?
all the players. So you just never know with these. And have you looked at? I know that it's Steve who likes to look at this, but what the morning slate or the afternoon is most likely to come out with the
I'm waiting for I won't be placing any first round leaders until like tomorrow night, like right before I go to sleep. Because I want to get the most accurate win. But I mean, typically for the most part, it's all morning guys are typically going to have an advantage because it's going to be softer. But I want to take a look at the temperature, see when it's going to stop raining, where are the gusts at. And they did a pretty good job of spreading the studs out when I was looking at the tee time. And it doesn't look. I mean, it's the wind can change at any point. That's the problem, right? I mean, there's almost no reason to do it unless all of a sudden, like it comes in. But yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be my likely list of bums I like to root for. So you're going to have Scotty, right?
I'm just going to run down my list of players that made it on my long list, and it's going to be Brian Harman, Minwoo Lee, Ricky Fowler, and Scotty Scheffler. I'm even probably going to include Rory just because how do you not? He almost came in as the first round leader last week.
I know.
He won the tournament, but I think what did he finish on the day?
He was 6 under. Yeah, 6 under. Betting on shot 9 under. Ridiculous.
So I'm gonna just by default, you kind of have to like even if he doesn't end up on your betting card, you take him in a first round leader. That's just what you do.
Yeah, I agree. And Scotty's number, I saw a 22 first round leader out there. I was like, oh, that's nice. Anywhere between 18 and 22. I'm like, you're getting almost, basically triple the odds for a first round leader versus the whole tournament. That's why I love it. Plus, it's a Thursday sweat. What else are you doing? Like that's the best part of Thursday is the Thursday sweats. But yeah, I'll probably join you on Rory, maybe Scotty. I don't know. I can't have two.
I think you have to have both because Rory, this was the first tournament. He won the Scottish Open and it was his first tournament. Yeah. What he had been struggling with was fourth round scoring. He was great in the first 3 days and he fell off the face of the earth come day 4. And this is the first time that he came in clutch. So this is why I trust Rory for a first round leader. I trust Scotty always for a first round leader. So I don't mind having both of them, especially since you're getting better odds as first round leader than you are getting as an outright market. So they're just automatically you plug them in. That's what you do.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I'll have those, but then I'm definitely gonna as soon as we're done with this, I'm gonna go look at the weather again because unless there's something I'm really missing, I'm just gonna blindly bet every single player that I shoot under. But like on that book, like I'm just gonna do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna pick and choose. I'm just gonna go all the way down. I may leave some guys off like JT or somebody like that.
Right.
Who's like in my doghouse. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. You got any like other exotics like missed cuts or anything like that? I always like to do a couple missed cuts for the
I have what is it? What did I do for my prop today? I took the lowest tournament round score to be under 64 at plus 130. I was trying to find 64 and a half. I was looking at that earlier. I was trying to find 64 and a half. I couldn't find it anywhere that wasn't like heavily juiced. So I'm taking the risk that worst case that it's a push at 64, but you're getting plus money odds at plus 130. But no one shot better than 65 in here at Hoylake. But I mean, that's going to change. That was a long time ago, 2014. Technology's gotten better. The players have gotten better. Rain is going to make the greens a lot more receptive. There's going to be very little to no wind that's going to come into play. And maybe like the days and the waves, just because of not having just not having wind. I mean, unless something changes in the forecast, low scores are going to be heavily possible. Every week in the
I
PGA, it
know.
feels like a birdie fest. All you need is one player.
Yep. No, I agree. Yeah. So it's funny. I was looking at that one, and so my options were above 64, exactly 64, or under 64. I couldn't make up my mind if I wanted exactly, because that takes the push out of the equation for me. So I can't. I left it alone. But I like the under 64. That's where my initial head was
I
at.
couldn't think of. I typically like to look at like the cut line, and
Yep.
it was just, this is just too difficult of a course for me to try to figure that out.
Yeah.
We just don't have enough data. So, I mean,
Yep.
so I'll take a risk at plus money.
Yeah, I like it. And I got a couple missed cuts for fun because JT plus 160. It looks like dog shit. I don't care. And his open history is trash. Spieth, because he's a roller coaster, he could go out.
Oh yeah.
Him winning or getting cut would not surprise me. Like it's always in the cards with Jordan. And then Cantlay, because I'm getting 3-1 on a guy who, his links golf is not great. He backdoored the top 10 or 15 last year. He was never really in contention at St. Andrews. Obviously, missed the cut at the Scottish. So yeah, 3-1 for Cantlay to get cut. That would make me happy too, because he's a prick. So yeah, those are my missed cuts.
That sounds good. I feel like here's our laundry list of bets is a lot smaller this week without having Steve, but I still feel like we have plenty. I think
like
we've gone through a good list of players of why we either like them or don't like them for my card. But I mean, I'm keeping my strategy the same, and it's keep it narrow.
Yeah.
And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, then there's always next week.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
All right, so tell everybody where they can find you, what you're up to, and where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is posted up on Twitter. For Yahoo Sportsbook, it's Pamela M35. And bodybuilding stuff, if you like to watch me deadlift, you can see me on Instagram at Pamela.Maldonado35.
All right, cool. All right, Pamela. Well, thanks for coming on. All right, and then I'm going on the Mothership show at 10:30 Eastern tonight, even though I'm tired. So me and Matt Gannon will do the DFS Idol like we normally do, because Steve's out, so Matt's going to take his place. And yeah, other than that, it's the final major of the year. It's so depressing, but let's break them books. Let's go.